Hey everybody, this is Sheets, and I'm going to be doing a breakdown of the NBA slate for Monday, November 29th. Hope you all had a good weekend. I'm going to be doing the solo because it's Bobby's birthday today, and he's doing birthday stuff. And again, I'm going to be basing it off of my initial projections and analysis, initial projections coming from my proprietary projections, which are available on TrueDFS.com for premium members, which involve kind of an aggregate of industry-wide projections, which are also back-tested for accuracy and weighted for accuracy and things like that, just stuff I've worked a long time on. And as you all may or may not know, I mean, NBA is probably the sport where projections matter the most, so of most of the sports. So I will leave that decision to you, whether to look at TrueDFS to get copies of that stuff. Otherwise, I'm just going to be doing this kind of an early look breakdown. I encourage everybody to show up at 6 p.m. for the live stream, where Bobby and I will go over, the slate after all the injury news is out, hopefully, and just kind of refining our builds. I think it's really important that you do that. So I am going to go game by game, but my overall view of the slate is that there's not, as of like this time, an overwhelming pile of value. There's a couple of okay plays, but nothing that's going to just require you to lock it in. And also, it seems as though that the big studs are not exactly such locks anyway. So it seems as though what's probably going to be the way to go is some middling type build. That's at least my first view, but we'll just go game by game for now, and then we'll just kind of see what shows up. So Orlando, Philadelphia. I just like a couple of guys from both sides here. Nothing particularly fancy, but I do like Wendell Carter Jr. as the best play on Portland, and really the only play for me on Portland. Early ownership has him not bad. I mean, not terrible. He's gonna be owned somewhat, but let me just see. What do I have him for early ownership? Yeah, about 10%. I mean, not that bad, but we'll see how that goes. And then on the other side of the ball, I do like Embiid. He's back, and Tobias Harris. I wouldn't play both of them in the same lineup, but I do like both Embiid and Harris here. So if you wanted to, again, play some correlation game, you could play one, Wendell Carter on one side of your same lineup with Embiid and or Harris. All right. Next game, Denver, Miami. So I've been saying this for, seems like a month now, but at least a few weeks, that something is wrong with Nikola Jokic. Every day, they list him as questionable. They keep people strung along, and then they just rule him out. They're saying it's a sprained wrist. I said this weeks ago that I think it's worse. I think that it could be a broken wrist. I have only life experience to rely on. And until he shows up in a game, I am not playing him. I'm not projecting him. If he shows up in projections, I'm Xing him out. And if he shows up in projections and plays, I'm Xing him out until further notice. I mean, let him show up on the court with coming off a wrist injury and putting up a number before I worry about playing him at 11,400. As a matter of fact, I mean, you got to continue to wait on this news, and if he doesn't play, go right back and play the Greens and play JaMychal Green and play, Jeff Green maybe, and then you could maybe play Will Barton, Aaron Gordon. But I don't know why they keep projecting him in, seeing as hasn't played in forever. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But he's going to be in 0% of my lineups, that's for sure. On the Miami side, I really only like one play, and that would be Jimmy Butler. Now, if Jokic doesn't play, it certainly creates some blowout risk, which might be worth tempering your enthusiasm. But he certainly rates to be a good play. Even he's questionable. Look at this. He's played a bruised tailbone. Okay, well, let's look. We'll keep an eye on that. And if he's out, then it's the normal crew. Tyler Herro, if he's in, even Duncan Robinson, Bam, all the usage guys all the guys would pick up usage if Butler around. So right now I have him as just questionable, and I do have him as a pretty strong play. Next, Charlotte and Chicago. So I don't like much on the Charlotte side this time. As you guys might remember, I was all over it the other day, and it turned out really, really nicely. But today, I think they're all priced relatively efficiently. If anything, maybe you play one of these guys, maybe LaMelo as a run back if you play multiples on the Chicago side, which, by the way, I think is this is where I think the value lies. I think all three big guys on Chicago are very strong plays between Vooch, that would be Nikola Vucevic at center, and then DeMar DeRozan, who's mysteriously a power forward now, and Zach LaVine, who's still, well, shooting small forward eligible in any case. I do like all those guys. I wouldn't play all three of them together, but I think you should probably have one of those in most of your lineups. You could also have two and make that work. But if you did two, maybe you want to run it back with LaMelo, and that becomes difficult because value is very hard to come by. Like, for example, put LaMelo in here at 10-4. I mean, just to see. I mean, there you have to find four $4,400 plays, which is not going to be easy today. Well, I mean, you'll find them, but they're not the greatest plays in the world. Oklahoma City against Houston. Yeah, I kind of like this. I like on the well, we'll get back to Oklahoma City in a second, but on Houston, I'll go right back to Kevin Porter Jr., 6,800. I think he's very strong, and right back to Christian Wood at 8,200. I think they're going to carry the majority of the load. I think that they're good plays, and Oklahoma City doesn't play the greatest defense in the world. I think this could be a sneaky game here. And then on the OKC side, I don't know if Shea, let me take a look at Shea here. If Shea is expected to play, he's back. But even still, he's not even my favorite guy on this team as far as fantasy for this game. I like the other guys. I like Dort. I like Giddey, and I like Baisley. So even though Shea is playing, I think you could kind of like make a pretty cool game stack with the other guys. Now, that's not to say that you can't include Shea also. I mean, like, for example, if you want to do this, you want to play 4 OKCs and 2 Houstons. Now, this is not normally recommended, but I've done this before. I've made worse, lineups than this. And on a day, like I said, when there's not great 3K value, and where the studs are not the greatest, I have no problem doing something like that. Okay, Indiana, Minnesota. I like the three. I do like the three big shots on Indiana. Those being Brogdon, who still remains cheap at 7,400, LeVert at 5,300, and Sabonis at 8,400. Now on the Minnesota side, I don't really like anything that much. The only thing I really like is Cat. I don't really like D'Angelo Russell today. I don't like Anthony Edwards today. I'm just kind of into the big guys here. And likewise, if you wanted to play Cat with maybe 2 of these Pacers, you could do it. The value is not the greatest, but it's not terrible either. So you could definitely do that. So either Brogdon and LeVert, Brogdon, Sabonis, LeVert, Sabonis, LeVert. You know what I mean? I wouldn't play all 3, but you play 2 of those and you run back with Towns, for example. I think that's pretty viable. Cleveland, Dallas. I'm just not interested. I don't really like anything on the Cleveland side, and the only thing that I like on the Dallas side is Luka. I mean, he's he always has a ceiling just kind of lurking. But if he gets you 50, 55, which is really what he does most of the time, I mean, that's good. Is that going to win? It might. I mean, I don't know. Cleveland plays, better defense. Not that we really play or don't play Luka based on matchup, but I don't know. I think he's fine. But as I said, I think just the way I'm going to approach this slate is kind of more of a middling build here. So he's not going to be my big one. I'll end up playing him probably, but not, he's not going to be a priority for me, and nothing on Cleveland for me. Washington, San Antonio, another kind of uninspiring game. I don't like a sliver of the Washington side. And on the San Antonio side, I do like DeJounte Murray. I mean, he continues to put up numbers. I mean, every single game, he's except for this one weird one, he's like significantly over 50. I mean, he's 55 plus, and that's what you need at 9,600. So, as I said, mentioned before, maybe people aren't used to him being 9,500, but that's just the way it is, and it's very well warranted. So I do like him a lot here. The only thing I would say is that Washington is still, for some reason, have this perception of being a bad defense, which they are not. So maybe it's a little overvalued as far as, or overowned as far as that is concerned. But overall, I do think DeJounte Murray is a strong play. All right, Portland, Utah. First of all, on the Utah side, I do like the main guys, that being Donovan Mitchell and Gobert. I think they're both really strong. I played them a decent amount, but I never get a chance to play them in the fourth quarter because they blow everybody out nowadays. So you're really relying on Portland keeping this close to get these full fourth quarters, but certainly look like good plays. The problem, though, is that I don't like the other side of this as far as the big guys. Like, I don't like Lillard and I don't like McCollum. So that's what makes it difficult to play, Mitchell and Gobert with any big confidence, is because for them to do it, then to really get that ceiling, you're going to need this game close. And if this game's going to be close, it's going to be because Lillard and or McCollum keep it that way. What I do have from Portland actually is some kind of fishy value. Well, is it fishy? I mean, it's really the only value that stands out right now. And that would be because Norman Powell is out, Nasir Little. I mean, he's playing 24, 27 minutes, something like that. And I have to caution you, some of these games work. Some of them don't. And you could be stuck with 10, 15 fantasy points at him. So if he ends up being really chalky, I mean, it's not that great. And I'd almost prefer you played Larry Nance here, 3,600. If you're going to go for these 20, 25-minute guys, I think I prefer Larry Nance to Little. But I think they're both kind of decent. And then another one, I mean, you could play, play Robert Covington, gets like he can get 1 billion minutes here. At 3,800. I mean, I know that he's not been the greatest, but hell, I mean, that's a really cheap price for someone who he could play 40 minutes. I mean, he could. It hasn't been that way recently, but yeah, I mean, Covington is 28 minutes, 30 minutes. Look at these fantasy points scored. I mean, like, you want these numbers. I mean, this looks good to me. And then the other one is on the other side of the Nurkic of the Gobert match, and that would be Nurkic at 6,300. Now, again, you get 24 minutes out of him, you're probably okay. If you get 30 minutes out of him like you got the Sacramento game, boy, oh boy, and then you're talking. So I think Nurkic is a really good tournament play here. The matchup isn't the greatest, but whatever. So I do like Nurkic. I like Nance. I would not play the two of them together. Covington, Little, and if you want to play Mitchell and Gobert, I don't know, it's tough without these bigger Portland guys getting there for you. So they're okay, but the blowout risk does concern me somewhat. And finally, New Orleans, LAC. I don't like much on the New Orleans side, which is a shame because I really like Paul George here at 10-2. I think he's the spend up for me. Like, I don't need to pay 11-4 for Jokic even if he plays. I don't need to play 11-3 for Luka even if he plays. Embiid is fine, I suppose, but I like Paul George here against the New Orleans defense at this price. I think he's a very good play. And I don't have New Orleans run backs for you, so it might just be a high price one-off. That's pretty much it. So again, to summarize, I mean, I really didn't go over too many great value plays. I mean, some could show up later, but as far as value goes, I'm just on those Portland guys. So what that means is that you're probably going to, as I said, get some kind of middling build to work. So whether it be taking guys like from that Chicago game, DeRozan, Levine, Vooch, or I don't know, maybe this Mitchell play isn't so bad for Utah, even if maybe you don't have the ceiling. How about Indianapolis? The Pacers with LeVert, Brogdon, Sabonis, those types of guys with Cat. I think that's really the way you want to play this slate. And unfortunately, I'm not going to have time to go over DraftKings, FanDuel. This is all just DraftKings. But hopefully when we do go live at 6, we'll be able to cover a little bit more detail. That's all I have for now. Good luck, everybody, and I'll see you a little later tonight.